Hello, my fellow comic book collectors. This is going to be a really great interview. Actually, this guy, he's like kind of a frenemy, I would say, because we hang out a lot, but we compete a lot on the same books. We're both collecting a lot of the same stuff. And he's just a really great collector, a really sophisticated collector, because he's collecting the same stuff that I am. So he must be a sophisticated collector. It is Dragon Ink Comics. So I'm going to bring him in now. And hi.
Hey, so
So
I'm like an anti-hero.
the anti-hero, yeah, exactly. So so tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into collecting comics and stuff.
So like you said, I'm Dragon Ink Comics. Name is Jamie, or at least my friends call me Jamie. So I've been collecting comics off and on since like the '90s. And what actually got me into comics were comic book movies from the '80s, like the Donner Superman movies. I just love those. And like you, I was a big fan of Superman #3. For some reason, that was the film that I
I like
liked the
I
most.
really like that movie. That was awesome.
I think it's great. Like when the two Supermen are fighting. Well, anyways, without getting too deep down that rabbit hole, but I love that film. And when the death of Superman happened in DC Comics around, I think it was like '92, that was
Mhm.
actually the first time I actually started reading comics. And that whole story arc, which lasted, I think, about a year, was
Mhm.
very, very good, you know.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. It was.
I actually think I remember like crying. Now, again, I do get emotional at some things, but like especially in that series, like Blue Beetle's in the hospital, Superman's dead. Like it was,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was, it was big deal.
It was epic. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that got me reading DC comics. Now, of course, I love the X-Men cartoon, right? But I never read
Mhm.
X-Men comics. But I got into like Sandman Mystery Theater, which was actually kind of
Oh,
stories
okay.
around the Golden Age Sandman. That was in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
early '90s. The Neil Gaiman Sandman series, which I know you just did a review on, which is good if anybody hasn't seen it.
Hmm.
Your review of that. Uh, the James Robinson Starman series, like, oh, I love it. Like, I'm a huge fan of the Shade, like the
Okay.
yeah, he's also kind of an anti-hero, but that
Hmm.
was the stuff I read
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
when I was, getting into comics. Around that time, though, I got where is it? I got my first Overstreet price guide. Now this is
Oh,
in
wow.
But when I got one of these in like the early '90s, it like blew my mind. Like when I saw
Mhm.
the prices and the breakdowns and the pictures of Golden Age comics, I was like, it was like music to my ears. And I
Did you
always
get
had a
Wizard
little,
as well?
huh? Go ahead.
Did you get Wizard as well?
I did.
Wizard.
I did. I
I
even
love Wizard
submitted
magazine.
stuff to Wizard for like their drawing contest. Like I never got in there, but I was that kid.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, I
I always
love
wanted to
Wizard.
submit to that actually, but I wasn't brave enough. I thought, I'll never win. That's so cool.
Yeah. No, I'm a horrible artist, so like it was really bad. But what happened, I actually think I probably started with Wizard and I saw, they didn't give you all the prices for all the books coming
Mhm.
back. So I was like, what are the prices for these older books? So that's when I
Yeah,
got
yeah, yeah.
to Overstreet. Um, and I convinced my family to let me invest my savings into comics in the '90s, and
Wow.
that was the start because I bought my first Golden Age comic, which was a Bullet Man #2, which
I just
why?
picked that up. I
Yeah, I know
just
I
picked
saw
that book
your.
up.
It's great, and that was my first Golden Age comic, and it really kind of started me buying a lot of Golden Age comics with any extra money I had.
Hmm.
Uh, so that's kind of how I started. Now I eventually sold my collection when I went to college and really got back into the hobby like later. But
Hmm.
I've always loved comics going back till that time and kept reading comics sort of throughout the 2000s, even when I wasn't avidly collecting.
Yeah. So what are some of your favorite comics from your collection?
Okay, so I have a few. Now there's
Mhm.
some big books here, so
Okay, yeah,
hold
yeah, I know you have
hold
big
on to your
books.
seat.
And you already agreed that you're going to trade. So that's, I give you my copy and you give me your copy.
Oh, yeah.
That's part of the interview process. That's how it
Oh,
works.
okay. Well, hopefully the trades are fair. We'll have to see.
I didn't say anything about fair.
Oh, okay. So the first one of my favorite books is, of course, Marvel
Here,
Family
let me
number
make you big
one.
here.
Uh, well, I got
Wait, I'm
some.
going to make you big.
All right, make me big. And then, so this is a 5.5. I actually bought this copy loose, and I took kind of a gamble on it. I paid about 12,000 bucks for it loose, had it pressed and graded, and it came back a 5.5, which you know you can't beat that. I've been kind of hoarding these Marvel Family number ones, and I'm actually in the process of acquiring another one. So what's funny, one of the books that I always wanted going back to the 90s was this book, which is in Adventure Comics 40, which is the first conceived story of the Golden Age Sandman. And when you first really see him fully on the cover, it's a pretty rare book. Now,
Yeah,
what's
I
kind of
always
funny,
wanted that book, actually. That's on my list of books to get.
so there was a 1.5 green label that went up for sale within the last year. And I think even it went over for over 10,000 bucks, which I was very surprised. So this book is starting to climb, but it's as rare as like an All-American 16 almost.
Yeah, it's a really I never see it on auction. It just
Rare.
never comes up, and it's one I always want to get. But it's just
Mhm.
never available.
So what's funny is when the old Overstreet Guide, that used to be considered the first appearance of the Sandman.
I
And you
know.
mentioned that your friend
Yeah,
informed somebody that, hey, this isn't actually the first real appearance. It's actually this book, which is
yeah.
the New York World's
And then
Fair
make it big again, so you can really show it.
1939. And this is a pretty high grade copy. I think the highest grade out there is around a 9.0. So anything in the mid or high grades on this book is tough to find. And this is really the first appearance of the Sandman. He actually is here. Where is he? Right here.
Right there. Yeah.
See him down there. Um, and this is also a pretty tough book, but again, not as scarce as the Adventure 40. And I know you got a copy of this too, as
Yeah.
well.
You know
Right.
what's interesting, and you might be able to answer this. I think I know the answer, but I'm just curious. Is that a sticker?
Yes. So
You know what I'm
underneath,
saying?
yeah, underneath this, it's 25 cents. So the
Yeah.
original price is 25 cents. And you can imagine in 1939, 25
Oh,
cents,
wait. I clicked the wrong button.
25 cents would have been a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
So I most of the copies that you see graded actually have this 15-cent sticker, which honestly I've seen people try to remove and it kind of pulls up the cover. I would love to get it removed because if you see on the grader's little notes right here, it does
Oh,
say price sticker on cover.
oh,
So
really? So it
yep,
does say it. So I was wondering about that because my copy just says the 25 cents.
yeah. So that's the
So
original.
that's the original. So
Yeah,
yeah, mine's better. No,
it
more fun.
is. It is. It's
Mine's like a
I
one
spoke to
five or something.
CGC, and I wanted them to take the sticker off, and they wouldn't do it. They
They
thought it
didn't
was
do it.
easy.
It's so sad.
Yeah,
But I actually think the sticker's kind of cool, to tell you the truth. Because
I
like,
like.
that, it was at that time. It wasn't like, they reprinted it with a sticker on it. They stuck it
Yeah,
on because they realized they overpriced.
yeah. I think they were still trying to figure out like what they could sell comics for in 1939. Like you have a nickel comics number one, which I think is a beautiful book, which is again
Yeah,
a
it's a really great book.
that's this.
I love Bullet Man. I love the quirky golden age characters. Like he is the quirkiest. He's I actually enjoyed the Bullet Man story. I don't know why. Like other people will say that's lame, but I like it. I don't know.
I think it's the design of the character that throws people off, but I agree. I really like Bullet Man and Bullet
Mhm.
Girl.
Yeah, I
And the
like Bullet Girl a
covers are
lot.
really cool. And I think they're actually Raboy covers, some of them.
Yeah, yeah. Number two, you mentioned number two is McAvoy. I
Oh,
never say that correctly, but that's
I don't either.
but
People are always
that,
correcting me on my channel for saying things incorrectly.
yeah, yeah. I mess everyone's name up, and it's just like I just go with it.
Yeah, it's totally unintentional. I just say what it looks like, and it's like, people get offended sometimes. So the last books I'm going to show are pretty rare. So these are my gobbledygooks. I have
wow.
number one. So this is of course Kevin Easton and Peter Laird's first comic. It's I had Kevin sign it over here, and I had this sent to CGC when he was doing a signing so that they would authenticate it. And of course, this is the reason people love this book, is because it actually has the TMNT on the back. And then I have number 2 here. So I got the set. Now, what's really cool about these books is I actually picked them up from an original owner who rented the space that was Mirage Studios to Eastman and Laird. And the reason they called it Mirage Studios is because it was just a room in their apartment. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, so we gave these copies to that young man, and he held on to them until he sold them to me.
That's really cool. Like, I'm surprised. I haven't actually seen a gobbledygook like in somebody's hands where I can sort of judge the size. I thought it was more like TMNT 1, where it'd be like the full size. You know what I mean? Like a magazine size. They look kind of small.
Look at this whole space down here.
Yeah.
So it's funny, when I first got them too, I was like, are these counterfeit? Because I thought the same thing. I thought they were going to be oversized, and they weren't.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. They're really small. I'm somewhat surprised. That's a book that I always wanted to get. That it's sort of, to me, it's not the first appearance, but it's kind of the first appearance. I'm getting TMNT 1.
Oh, good.
But I'm paying installments for the rest of my life. But it's what I'm doing.
I got an upgrade to my 6.5 recently. I was going to sell my 6.5 online, but the prices are getting kind of soft, and I thought this is a really dumb time to sell it, so I pulled it off.
Yeah. So the grade that I'm getting is an 8.5.
Oh, wonderful.
I think they had it, like the FMV on it was 30,000 US, and the guy agreed to go 22,000 Canadian.
Wow. That's 22,000 Canadian. So what is that? Is that like 17,000?
Roughly like 15, 16.
Wow. Oh, that's totally worth it.
Yeah. So I was a little bit nervous that I overpaid, because I did see the prices kind of, they really have kind of pulled down,
They really have.
There's actually one that I'm sort of stalking, another TMNT 1 that's on, do you know Comic Investments?
Yeah, Dave.
Yeah, Dave, David. He always got mad at me when I kept on calling him Dave. He's like, my name's David. I'm like, oh, Dave. So it's like, I kept on messing up his name. So it was funny. So he has it on his site. And it's all like it's like an 8.5, and it's all like it's like a green label because it's signed, and a whole bunch of sketches on it, actually.
Okay.
So but it's right now at around 7,000. So I'm like, that's really cheap.
Wow. Is it one of his auctions that he's doing?
Yeah, it is auction. So
that's a pretty good price.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, but it probably, it's still 2 days or 3 days away. So, usually at the very end, it kind of goes up, right? But I don't know.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I paid around 12 or 13,000 for my 6.5 last year during the comic boom. And I just picked up an 8.0 for around 15,000. So, prices have definitely come down a lot, but I think it's a great time to buy if you're a comic book investor, which I consider myself sort of an investor and an enthusiast. I buy stuff that I like, but I also only buy stuff that I think will actually appreciate in value for the most part. But that's just kind of how I collect.
Well, I think you collect very savvy stuff. It seems like you collect the exact same stuff that I do. So I would say it's savvy because I'm assuming I'm savvy. I don't know.
I think you are. I think you pick up really good stuff.
Yeah. So I noticed the books behind you are they seem pretty great too. I think you should show those ones.
Yeah,
The ones
well,
behind you.
I didn't want to know. Didn't know how much time we would have, so I have a
I,
few, but I'll pull them over. So this is one of my favorite books I picked up last year. We actually both own a copy of this same collection, the original owner collection of this. So you own the 1.0. Is it a
yeah,
1.0?
it's 1.0.
54, right? Or is it
Yep.
55? Yeah. So
It's
we
50,
bought this from the same
wait,
guy.
is it 55? I think it's 55.
55. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm having a moment. But yeah,
Yeah,
55.
well, we got to remember all these crazy numbers. Like there's like a million comics that we have to remember.
I know. So this one is the first cover appearance of Dr. Fate. Now, what's great about this, there's only 17 of these graded on the census.
Oh
17.
wow.
It's like wild. And like the copy you got at 55, there's a lot of tape on the spine of these
Yeah.
books. And I actually considered maybe trying to get somebody to remove it, but I just, the idea of like messing with this book with the vibrant colors, I'm just,
I'd be
I
really paranoid that if you remove it, you're going to kill the spine.
yeah. And if I
And
got
then
any,
it becomes a 1-0. Like,
yeah, no, you're right. And you know what this, I'm not quite sure. That looks like there might be a staple pull on this too. And yeah, if it had any kind of color or cover tears, I think it would really detract from the appearance of the book,
I mean, it's
which
a
right
really
now,
great book.
and
So
I think yours looks nice too.
that's on my list too, because I like getting the first appearance, but I like the first cover appearance, especially since books are slab nowadays. It's kind of nice to actually see the character, right?
You want to display them for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
And I know, seeing this is an example of both of us going after the same books. I was also looking at that same 55, but the seller, he had it pretty high. And I kept badgering him about this book. Like every day I'd give him new
Sure.
offers. And he finally broke down and sold it to me. And it sold, I bought it a few days, I think, after you bought your 55.
So
Wow.
it was funny, like when I got my 55,
Uh-huh.
it was on Heritage
Ah,
or one of those, I think it was Heritage, and
okay.
it sold for like $8,000.
Okay.
And so this guy had it on eBay
Yep.
for $8,000
Okay.
or best offer.
Ah.
So I was like, So I was just praying that he didn't see the Heritage auction. So I offered him 6,000 for it,
Yeah. Did he take
and he
it?
took it.
Wow. So I think I paid about 6,000 for that book too. He had it
Yeah,
listed, I think, for 7,000, and I kept putting in like 5,000 offers. He wouldn't take
yeah.
them.
So
He
you
gets
wore him down, and then I took advantage of it, I guess.
you gotta keep poking. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Eventually they get bored and they sell it to you.
yeah, yeah. Well,
That's
the funny thing is that like these books, they can be on on eBay for a long time,
yeah,
and as a seller, I think they kind of start doubting themselves. Is this book really worth like this big money?
yeah,
And if you keep on badgering them, you kind of wait or work them,
yeah.
make them a little bit nervous or something.
What's
So,
kind of funny too, I feel like sometimes I'm a little too aggressive and I make
mm,
people think their books are worth actually more than they are because I like
okay.
immediately they'll list something and I'll write them and say, "Hey, can you do better on this? I'm very interested." And then I think it kind of then they think, "Oh, well, this is worth more," and then it takes them a
Yeah.
while for that to sort of fade. The truth is that I'm a golden age collector like you, and when I see something I like, I want it. And
Yep.
I don't want to wait, and I'll give you money, and I have a fair price in mind. I'm
Mhm.
never trying to really gouge anybody. I feel like I'm giving them what I think is reasonable. You know what I mean? I'm not one of these people that's always trying to undercut people, or take advantage of them in any way.
Well, I'm trying to take advantage of them.
Well, in auctions, sometimes I just walk away with great stuff. For example, I
Okay.
got this at auction just a month or two ago, a Captain Marvel 1.5. And this is, as you can see, the colors on this are freaking phenomenal. The
Yeah,
thing
it's
is,
really nice.
is that the spine is completely split, hence the 1.5. But I got
Which
this
auction did you get that
4,000.
at?
Huh?
Which auction did you get that at?
It was, oh, what's his name? Blizzard. So I sniped this at the last second. Was it you? Were you bidding on this? I totally sniped it.
I was like, I know that book.
It's a beauty. Hey, if I ever upgrade into the threes, I will happily sell you this book for a reasonable price.
Okay, cool.
Right, you'll be my first person, but
That's
yeah,
funny.
it's a cool book, right?
That guy has some crazy stuff.
Yeah,
Just right now, he's doing a whole bunch of Planet comics.
really.
Yeah. Well, I shouldn't have told you. Now you're.
Don't worry, I'm like you right now. I'm making time payments on another comic on a Marvel Family #1. I'm trying to get another one, and that thing is
Oh, okay.
it's killing me right now.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
but
So I've been getting into Planet comics a lot. I really love their kind of good girl covers. Just
oh, they're
some really
nice.
great covers. I just
Wasn't
picked up
the
a
artist
58,
a female artist on a lot of those covers? Like a Golden Age, the artist was actually female. Am I
Lily Renee is the one you're thinking.
Yeah, her
Yeah.
covers are really nice. I love Planet
She
comics.
does sexy, like really sexy covers. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the mix of the sci-fi and the good girl art together. I think it
Yeah,
really
me
complements
too.
well together.
Yeah.
We used to have a whole bunch of Phantom Lady comics. I collected them in the 90s, and I'm killing myself because the prices of those books, especially certain issues, have gone through the roof. And I had all of them. I had all Venuses, like Venus
Oh
1 through.
man, that's the other series that I'm trying to get too.
I sold them all. I used to have a Venus 1 and like 8.0. I'm just killing myself. That black cover. It's like,
so that's like a probably $30,000-$40,000 book now.
I think I probably sold it for $1,000.
Oh wow.
So this is something I picked up. I know Blizzard had a great sale of one of these recently, which is the first. This is just a page, but it's the first page of the Joker.
Yeah, and here I'll let you show it better.
Yeah,
that is a great page to get.
I only got into pages recently, but if it's a key issue and it's a key page, I'm kind of inclined to pick these up.
Is that his first appearance page? Like,
yep.
Like literally like the page where no previous page with him on the cover or in the page, I should say.
Nope.
That is really cool.
So this is page 2, Batman 1.
Wow, yeah. That is great.
Blizzard sold one of these, a nicer looking page for like 12 grand, 11 or 12 grand. And I picked this up on Heritage for like 5. So
that's really good price. I think pages kind of are going to be like the next big thing. It seems like, especially key pages like that. There was one actually, what's his name? Bryce Comics.
Mm-hmm.
He had a key page like that. I think it was like, I'm trying to remember what character it was. It was like some key character, like I want to say Batman or somebody, some kind of big character, and it was their first appearance page.
That's awesome.
I'm trying to remember what it was. I can't remember.
So this sounds sacrilegious, but one of the Marvel Family #1s I've been looking at is one that is incomplete, but it has the whole Black Adam story in it. And honestly, if I got it, I'd probably page it out and have them all CGC, because I think it would be really cool to be able to present a Marvel Family #1 with that first appearance page of Black Adam. Like, that would look so cool together, right?
Yeah. I actually think you can, like, I noticed like the prices for pages, if you actually kind of do the math, it actually makes sense to cannibalize a book. It's kind of sad. I really don't like that idea of like slicing and dicing a book, but if you can make
is incomplete already.
Yeah, I know. So it's a little bit better, but I'm not sure if you saw, but I picked up Pep 1.
Oh, neat. No, I didn't see that.
Incomplete copy, no cover. It's just like barely a book. I picked it up for like $150 or something.
Wow. Oh, I did see that. Yeah, I did unbox that.
Yeah, it was really funny. I was like, oh, this is, it's cool in its own way. But
What is the Archie first appearance? Is that Pep 22?
Pep 22. That's the big ones are Pep 22, Pep 26, and his first Veronica, and then there's a bunch that are kind of key character ones. But yeah,
I would love to own an Archie one. That's always been one of the
that's another big book. Yeah,
and I had an opportunity to get one at one point, and what basically was torn between two really important books, and I chose not to buy it. But it continues to go up and hold its value.
So what was the other book?
It was actually the Adventure 40 that I picked up.
I think you chose well, actually.
Yeah, I think the Adventure 40 is a little rare.
I've seen Archie come up a few times. I have not seen that other one. So that's so it's like I always, when I try to decide on that kind of decision, it's like which one do I see more often? And if it's something that I see often, I'll go for the one I don't see often.
I think that's smart. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're right. Archie ones do come up quite a bit.
Yeah, surprisingly.
Yeah, and really, they're the prices aren't horrible. 3.5s are selling for like around 20,000, I think. I've seen people ask more for them, but I don't think they're actually selling them. So
that's cool. And, so what are you? Okay, wait. Oh, do you want to show some more?
Well, the only one I got, the only other one back here is just, and I think
I know that one.
Good for collectors to know, and I know you have one of these too.
Yeah, I have that too.
Adventure 61, which is the first Starman, the Ted Knight Starman. And again, this cover has really great colors on it, which I just love.
Yeah, it looks good actually.
And what's cool is that he's actually on the cover. You don't see Golden Age first appearances where the character is actually on the cover. So to have any of these, the other one that I really want to get is an Adventure 48, which is the first Hour Man, where he's actually on the cover too. Tough book to find.
That's another book on my list. So we'll probably fight for that one too.
Yeah. And they never come up for sale. And I keep looking. I'm on want
I've been
list
looking for the last 3 years for that book. I have not seen it offered ever. But yeah, I like Hour Man. I think he's a cool character. So yeah.
Have you watched the Stargirl series at all? Yeah.
I actually liked it. I thought it was okay. I thought it was, it was more reminiscent for me of older style TV series. Do you know what I mean? Like sort of like 80s, kind of like the way that they would do superhero stories back then. A little bit more innocent and just kind of fun, and you meet the bad guys, and the bad guys are doing their own thing. I liked the first. I only watched the first season. I got to watch the next 2 seasons, but
watch the second season's great because it's the Shade. And
I heard that. Yeah.
Do it really
Calypso,
well.
Right?
Yep, and Calypso. The way they did Calypso was okay. They could have maybe done better with that, but they have I think a budget at CW that prevents them from really going all out with things. But yeah, it's quirky, it's fun. What I love about it, so James Robinson actually had input on the season 2, and you can really see it in the storyline. The Shade is the Shade from the Jack Knight series. That's the Shade that you get, the anti-hero Shade, and he's like perfect. Jeff Johns is all over that show, and so that's one of the reasons why it's one of the few shows on the CW that I think is continuing, is because Jeff Johns' pen is in there.
Yeah. It's actually well written. It's not. I always try to avoid being political. Believe it or not, I really do try to avoid it. But it is not woke, which is a big plus in my opinion. It's I really
There's
do
a little bit of the, what do they call it, social stuff in all of these shows nowadays. But it's not heavy. I'll say that. It's not heavy.
That's what I mean actually. But actually, if you look at the more recent version of DC Comics, that a lot of the younger characters that sort of took over Hour Man and all the different characters, Stargirl, and I forget what's the other one? Captain Midnight.
Dr. Midnight.
Dr. Midnight. Yeah, Captain Midnight. But yeah, they're actually accurate to the comics. They actually were the races and genders and stuff. That yeah. So I think that's good. So
yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm like I said, I'm really enjoying it. And season 3 is about to come out, and looking forward to that. And I don't look forward to a lot of CW shows or DC stuff that's coming out right now, but
yeah.
I'm sure both of us are excited for the Shazam movie and the Black Adam movie.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be great. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm a little bit disappointed by the trailer, and I think you mentioned this too. Where's Mr. Mind?
I'm still hoping that we get Mr. Mind and even a Mr. Tawny, right?
I really was hoping that too. Did you notice that Tawny was actually in the first one?
I noticed there was many references to Tawny. So his
that's what I
backpack
mean.
had Tawny on it, and in the beginning when he wanted the tiger, and then towards the end when he was in the fair, he gave a tiger to the little girl and said, "This will protect you," sort of thing. So
I was that they were trying to hint. They were hinting at it a lot.
And Mr. Mind was in the end credit scene of the first one. So yeah, where is he?
Well, he's in two places. When Billy first comes to the Wizards thing, he's in a case. And then at the end credit, he's broken out.
Yeah.
he's on the loose.
Funny, I never caught that until I watched it like the second or third time that was him at the beginning.
Yeah. Because that's actually what's so great about that character, in my opinion. He's so unassuming. It's like he's just like this silly little worm.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool. I really like him. So
Mr. Mind has, he's been around a really long time too. Even in the DC universe, he appeared again in Shazam 2 from the 73 series.
I saw your video about that today, strangely enough.
Yeah, and that's also Mr. Tawny's first DC appearance. But both of those characters have, continued through the DC universe. They're still around. This is again a guess, but what I think is going to happen is that at the end of this film, it's going to set up Mr. Mind's conquest of the Nine Realms. So basically,
that's what I thought too. Something kind of like maybe that the people that Shazam is fighting are actually maybe even slightly controlled by Mr. Mind. I was thinking that. I was thinking that's maybe the angle that they might take, because who are these people? We don't know who they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that could be kind of the twist in there. I was kind of hoping.
Wow. Now that would blow my mind. Pun intended.
And I hope that if they have the little, the little thing around his neck,
the little radio. Yeah. Well,
cool.
In the Black Adam versus Shazam and Superman cartoon, they sort of retconned the Tawny character and made him sort of an ally of the Wizard. Now, I'm curious whether they might do something like that in one of these Shazam films where he is maybe on what do you call it? That place where the Rock of Eternity. Sorry.
Rock of Eternity. Yeah.
He's on the Rock of Eternity. Maybe they'll meet him there. Who knows? We saw the alligator men from the planet Punkus there.
I know. Actually, I've been trying to pick up their first appearance, but I can never seem to get it.
Is it you want the? So I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure which one they appear in first. Do you know what issue?
It's
they're like 22 or something.
Something in that number. I don't remember. It's not 22. That's Mr. Mind's first voice appearance. I'm trying to remember what issue it is.
Yeah, I know their first cover is 43, and probably only cover.
Yeah, where they're getting punched in the face or something, right?
Yeah, but I'm not quite sure. I think it's in the Monster Society of Evil serial where they do first appear. I don't remember the issue.
Yeah. I like those first appearances. I'm kind of weird that way. So so what are you hunting right now?
All right. So as you know, I'm still trying to appropriate as many Marvel Family #1s as I can. I even though they've gone up so much in value, I really believe in Black Adam as potentially a major future character for DC. I put him right up there with some of the other, big A-list characters. And I think over time, the prices are going to reflect that. So as an investor, I just think securing as many of those as possible while they're still, within my grasp is one of my main goals. I would love to get a Wiz 1-2. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull it off. The prices have gone insane. I feel like I've missed the boat on that one, but I would love to own one.
I missed the boat on a Wiz 1. I actually I could have gotten a 0.5, and it was a nice presenting 0.5. And it was like, I think it was like $3,000.
Oh, I'm hurting.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, that seems a lot for a 0.5. I was like, I'm kicking myself about it because, yeah.
I don't buy restored comics, and I typically don't buy incomplete comics, but I would buy an incomplete Wiz 1. No question.
Yeah.
And I probably would buy a restored Wiz 1 if it was the right price, depending on what
a lot of those books, like if you look at the census, a lot of them are restored.
Yep.
A lot of the golden, like big key golden age books, because it was normal to restore them back then. Like I see numbers of around 30-40% are restored, and that's pretty high,
Yeah, and there's not a lot of them. You're talking probably Wiz. I'm guessing the census is around 50 total with the restored copies.
Something like that, yeah.
The one kind of book that I won't buy, that I still won't buy, Brittle. David from Comic Book Investments had a Wiz 1 for sale for a while, a 1.0 that was Brittle. And if it was not Brittle, I would have jumped all over that book quick.
I wouldn't, like, maybe I'll jump on it since you didn't. But don't worry about the brittle pages. It's not what, like, it's kind of a misnomer in a way. So what generally means is, like, if you see a bit of flaking, that's what they say is brittle. And it could be not the whole book. It could be just like one page has that. So it's not as bad as it sounds.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
It's tough because unless I'm inspecting the book, I don't know like you said, the level of how brittle it is.
Well, yeah, it's such a vague term.
Yeah.
Yeah. It could be
because you see slightly brittle, you see brittle, and then you're like, okay, with that copy that I was looking at, and I think he sold it. It had like little pieces that were falling off it. I was like, I just can't do it. I can't do it.
You shake the slab and it just like disintegrates or something.
Yeah, it just made me anxious.
The
book I love is Captain Marvel Jr. 4, and I used to own one. That's actually the first appearance of Sabek, who's going to be the villain in the Black Adam film.
Again on my want list.
It's like my favorite cover of all time, that Mac Raboy cover of Captain Marvel Jr. basically in the center of an explosion, and you have this sort of he's not even afraid.
He's standing there,
yeah, like this beautiful pose. So I'll tell you something funny. I actually wrote a paper about that cover when I was in college.
Oh wow, that's
because of World War II propaganda was what the paper was about. But World War II covers, comic covers, were a great form of propaganda for the U.S.
I love the propaganda covers.
It's like,
yeah.
But that was a subtle one, right? Because here's the American hero in the middle of this explosion. Just such a cool cover.
Yeah, it is pretty good. That's a Macro Boy as well, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's a Macro Boy. Yeah.
Yeah. That's on my want list. Yeah.
Is it? I hope you find one.
Yeah, so I think actually I saw like an incomplete one on my comic shop or something like that. I think I saw
one. What was it? Were you on Hiram's Hiram had a live sale recently where he sold a 4.0 for around $1,600. That felt a little high for me. I think they're going to come down after the film. But
I find his pricing kind of iffy, tell you the truth. It's usually a bit high. Like, I did buy a bunch of stuff from him, but, it was like I got a Nomura #1.
Oh, okay.
But it's not a book you see very often. So I'm figuring, hey, it is what it is. I'll pay the extra. I know I'm getting ripped off, but,
So I bought my first Captain Marvel Adventures one from him, CBCS 2.0 unrestored, but I paid around $14,000 for it, which is at a premium. Wow. And you think I got a 1.5 for like $4,000,
Yeah.
But you know what's funny? That was the first time I had seen a Captain Marvel Adventures 1 unrestored in like 6 months, and I felt like if this is my one opportunity to get it, I'm gonna jump on it. You know,
Yeah,
um, he also had a Silver Streak 1, which I've like never seen that book for sale, and I almost bought it. But yeah, he
that's
has
another
some
great
great
book.
stuff.
Yeah, he had a couple good. He had two Cinderella loves,
Mm,
but he wanted crazy amounts for them.
yeah,
He had a Phantom Lady 17, which is the one I really want.
yes,
That's on my
cover.
top 10 list. But he sold it for like, I think he sold it for 14,000, and it was like a two. I think it was a two.
Yeah,
So I
that's the
mean,
one with the big bust, right?
yeah. She's like in bondage, and but it's a Soti book. I collect
Oh,
Soti, so that's like one
that
of the
was
grails of the
the
Soti collection.
few Sodi books that you don't have.
Yeah, I only missing five, and then
Ah,
I have the whole entire collection of Soti books.
wow.
So it's like it's very frustrating because like I couldn't do 14,000
Uh-huh.
unless it was installments, and he wouldn't do installments.
Ah,
So yeah,
yeah, he makes you pay direct. So I sent
yeah.
him a wire transfer.
Oh really?
Yeah. So
Oh wow.
we're giving him quite an advertising here. Hiram, we love you, Hiram. We're actually big buyers of your books, but we
Yeah,
want you to lower your
I spent a
prices.
lot with him. I did spend a lot with him. He's he does have great books.
And
That's really the interesting thing about the golden age, that it is a bit of a seller's market at the end of the day, because there's not many books. So sometimes you pay up. You got to pay up for something.
yeah,
Um, but believe it or not, I only have one more question for you,
okay.
and it's what are you working on now, and where can people find you?
So, as you know, I have my channel, Dragon Ink Comics, on YouTube. I'm also at Dragon Ink Comics on Instagram and Facebook. Although I really don't use Facebook or Instagram a lot, I do post stuff there once in a while. I
Mm.
also have an eBay store, Dragon Ink Comics, and again, I don't sell a lot of stuff. And what I do sell is to support my own hobby. I think my main passion is just sharing my collection on my YouTube channel, kind of like you. I try to make it funny. I do like weird little intros that I
I
think
know your intros are awesome.
I appreciate it.
Very eccentric
Thank
seeming.
you.
It's really awesome. I enjoy it actually.
It fits my personality. I'm a bit eccentric, you know.
Mm.
But so that's where you can find me. I'm always trying to get more golden age books that sort of fit what I'm interested in. So I love early JSA. I love Captain Marvel. I love some of these Fox titles that you bring up. Like I used to have
Mm.
like a Mystery Men 1 and a 7 that I sold a long time
Oh,
ago.
that's nice.
Still killing myself for that.
That's a hard book to get.
Oh, it's so tough, especially the 7, the first cover appearance of Blue Beetle. Um,
Hmm.
so I guess what I would say is if anyone out there is interested in golden age books specifically, my channel might be of interest to them. I also love 80s independent comics. So Albedos,
Hmm.
Turtles, as you saw, I have Gobbledygooks. I love that stuff. And I do interviews with creators, independent creators once in a while, uh,
Hmm.
and fans
Yeah,
of
yeah, that's cool.
yeah,
So do you have an albedo too?
I do. Do you want to see it?
Sure. Pull it out.
Give me
You
one,
gotta show me these books.
give me 1 second. I'll pull it out.
Okay, so James has some really awesome comics. Like, and I got to pull him out of him, and get him to show these awesome books, because he's got a pretty amazing collection. Uh, so yeah, so hopefully you can find it.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Everything's close here. So I have
Oh,
an
that's nice. Oh,
Albedo.
9.2.
Yeah, I have a 9 too. So you know what's crazy about this? I had this cracked, pressed, and regraded, and it came back to 9.2.
What
Same
was it
grade.
before? Oh, same grade. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
so
nice.
yeah, I like wasted $1,000 doing that. So
Oh wow. How much did you pay for it? Just out of curiosity.
I paid 10 for this, and it's come down. So you can
Wow.
get a 9.2 now for around 8.
Oh wow, that's really cheap actually. That to me like is so undervalued, so
Yeah,
undervalued because it's rare. It's like
yeah,
there's only 200 on the census.
yeah. And there was 2,000 that were printed, and not everybody treated these well. So what's
No.
funny about this book? This book looks like a 9.8. So when I bought it,
Mhm.
I inspected it in the case, and I said I need to crack press and regrade this because this is undergraded. That's why I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
willing to pay 10. What I didn't know, what CGC found, there's some rust on one of the staples, and that killed the grade.
Is there any way to remove that rust or?
I might talk to Jerry the Jitterbug about
That's what I
that
was
because
wondering.
I had a green label book once that said Staples cleaned on it, so I really don't
You
want to
got to
get it.
be really careful. Then you'd kill the value.
Oh yeah.
Um,
I think you can actually get Staples replaced sometimes and get away with it, but
you can
that's
buy
very
staples from that time era, right? So
yeah.
yeah, there's tricks. Yeah, I have a 7.5 of that book.
It's a great book.
Yeah,
Again, you got the main character right on the cover.
I know,
You
and it's
have
a great cover.
black, and then the back cover's cool too with Irma Felna on the back. I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
love
yeah.
it,
I,
these.
I I really enjoyed that story actually. It's really like I kind of like the whole samurai kind of and it's very serious story considering it's with these furry bunnies and stuff. It's like very serious story. I think his girl gets taken by his arch nemesis kind of guy. It's like all this kind of cool drama. It's very cool
Yeah.
story.
Well, that was, Steve Galacci, when I talked to him about this series, he was saying that it was really an anthology series. And really the only
Mhm.
two um, storylines that were ongoing was the Irma Felna storyline and the
And
Usagi
Usagi.
Yojimbo
Mhm.
storyline because it was so good, and people really
Mhm.
loved it. And so, yeah, and I liked the Space Usagi stuff that Mirage put out. I
Yeah.
wasn't too keen on some of this newer stuff out, but I've given
Mhm.
it a little bit of a try. Um,
What did you think of the series that just came out?
it was it was fine if you're about 8 years old, but it kind of it didn't quite meet my expectations as somebody who read the comics. It's the
Yeah.
same with like the turtles. Like I grew up on the Ninja Turtles cartoon.
Mhm.
I didn't know about what the comics were really like, but had I
Mhm.
started with the comics, I think it would have been harder for me to watch the cartoon because it's
Yeah.
far less serious.
Well, the comic is very serious.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it's very
yeah,
different. But yeah, I'm the same way. I grew up with the cartoons and the movies. I actually really liked the first Ninja Turtle movie.
yeah.
I thought it was awesome. I was a
I
big
even liked
turtle.
the second one. It was the third one that kinda didn't quite do it for me. The
Was
Turtles
the third was the third one where they go back in time?
mhm.
Yeah, I thought. Yeah, it was okay. Yeah,
It's okay. It's not horrible.
I like time travel, so I'm a bit partial to that. So I can sort of you know
Yeah.
yeah.
I think what happened too, I was starting to get older around that time when the 3rd movie came out. So when I started collecting, I was about 11 in '92, and that's when all
Mm,
those shows and all that stuff was really popular, and as I got a little bit older, it was, I kind of drifted away from some of
mhm.
those shows. I
Yeah,
still watch cartoons, it was just different stuff.
yeah, I'm young at heart, I guess. I'm much older than you, so
Well,
so
I never stopped watching cartoons. I still like cartoons.
yeah, yeah. I love cartoons. Okay, so thanks again for coming on the show, and it was a great interview. Hope people watching check out Dragon Ink Comics, and I'll put all the links to all of your stuff in the stuff below. And yeah, thanks again for coming on to the show.
It's been I really appreciate it, and hope
Bye.
you have a wonderful day.
Okay, bye.
Bye.